Hello again, friends. When I originally saw Glendios, I thought he was going to get some Nouvelle level support and be somewhere between way too inconsistent and meh. Then they released all kinds of silly stuff for him. The most shocking reveal for me was that they released a Link Joker reverse unit. Now, I had plans already. I was going to show up on Cardfight area and wow everybody by winning with World's End, Glendios' ultimate break, while using nothing but Link Joker units. With the addition of the Link Joker reverse unit, that is no longer impressive. Still, I am stubborn, so my plans have not changed. My new challenge to myself, which mimics the old challenge, is to win a game using World's End with no reverse units. Challenge accepted. Now, to trigger World's End, your opponent has to have exactly 5 locked rearguards at the start of your main phase, while you have exactly 5 damage. The way the game intends for you to keep your opponent's rearguards locked for this duration is to use the Omega Lock ability of Glendios to keep units locked for an additional turn. Now, in order to use Omega Lock, you have to discard a reverse unit, which is why succeeding with World's End with no reverse units is extremely hard. The way to get around this is pretty convoluted. Extremely easy to counter if you can see it coming, and very, very inconsistent. Still, it can be done. The units that you need to accomplish this are 3 Palladiums, 2 Infinite Zero Dragon Break Rides for 2 turns in a row, a Dusttail Unicorn, and 1 Omega Glendios. Where the Glendios deck has more consistency due to its system of cycling out reverse units to get newer units out of your deck, bringing those reverse units back to your hand, and unflipping for each reverse unit in play, this deck has Twin Drive. That's right, you need to man mode and draw into all of your cards. You literally can only afford 1 Counterblast for Colony Maker to grab a Palladium, and that's all the toolbox that you get. The way you accomplish the final turn is by riding an Infinite Zero over an Infinite Zero. Ideally, you lock a front row and then the back row behind the other front row unit. Then you use Dusttail Unicorn to lock the Vanguard booster. Note, booster. You need to lock 2 back row because Infinite Zero has to lock a front and a back row unit when you use its Break Ride effect. When your opponent's next turn ends, you use all 3 of your Palladiums to relock the 3 units that you just locked. By doing this, your opponent now only has 2 remaining units to lock, 1 in the front row and 1 in the back. After this, you ride Omega Glendios on Infinite Zero Dragon. If you are at 5 damage, then when you enter your main phase, your ultimate break triggers, your opponent has 5 locked rearguards, and you win the game. Now that the highly specific scenario has been mentioned, let's take a look at how I've set it up. I didn't have Glendios when I decided to go for the strategy. I didn't have the capacity to stall the game long enough to wait for him, so I just kind of went with it the second I drew into Colony Maker, knowing that my odds of getting a Glendios were pretty good with 4 still left in the deck. Now, my opponent does see me drive check the Glendios, but they know that I'm going to ride him and lock stuff regardless of what they do. So they try and win it right there, knowing that I have a grade 3 and a 10k in hand, and shouldn't be able to fend off too strong of an attack. They decide to call a booster behind their Vanguard, likely not knowing that I was going to use my Palladiums the way that I chose to use them. And now I'm break riding Glendios with all of their units now locked. The beginning of my main phase happens, and I can trigger the ultimate break. Naturally, this deserves a full weeaboo final turn call. Giggity! Golly gee willikers, guys, I did it!